What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn, and we are thrilled to be joined again by our guy, Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. You know him, you love him. Maybe some of you hate him. I don't know. Mike's got some pretty controversial takes out there. It's been a while. We're so glad to be back with you guys. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Zach. It's been a long weekend. Had some family stuff going on. That was fun, but it's good to be back and talking 49ers football. Let's get after it.
Exactly. Before I toss over to Mike, if you are tuning in on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there so we can see and interact with your comments. We're not ignoring anything on Twitter. It doesn't come over through StreamYard. Mike, how are you doing this evening?
I am great, man. I'm having a really good time, man. Getting ready for this March Madness episode that I got to do after this show. Just, the 15 minutes of questions, no promo. But, happy to be on somewhere talking Niners, man. I sit around, this is going to sound bad, but like, I wait for the invites. I want guys to like, hey, you want to come on the show? You want to come on the show? And then the ones that I get, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to associate with you guys. But I love you guys. I miss you guys. So I'm excited to be here, man. I'm ready to rock and roll, man. Ready to have some fun.
Hell yeah, we're grateful to have you. We got a fun show planned for you guys this evening. If you're already tuning in on YouTube, hit like, hit subscribe. We appreciate it. We're going to have a lot of content for you this offseason, so this is just the start of it. Guys, I know we are all sick of talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, but I promise this is the last topic I will bring up of him because I took this as a little bit of a shot to the 49ers, and I'm really curious to get your guys' take on it. Let me pull this up here.
That's not where I thought you were going, and I was like, it's too early in the algorithm to talk about that. So I'm glad it's not.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about that. Definitely not talking about that. Let me change this. All right. So this was in his introductory press conference, and he's had a little bit of an interesting quote. I'm going to read it out to you. I'm trying to bring in energy, trying to get everyone on the same page, get everyone rolling in the same direction, Garoppolo said. And like I said before, I'm trying to earn it. Just because I'm the quarterback, I'm not the leader because of that. I want to be the leader because guys respect me and believe in me. I think that starts with hard work. And so I'll try and do that as much as I can and take it from there. What are your guys' takes on this? Don't all jump at once.
All right. Well, I'll go first, man. I think this is Jimmy trying to be humble, trying to act like I'm not the guy, even though I'm the guy. They brought me here for a reason, right? They moved on from one guy. They brought me here. You guys see the contract, the $34 million guaranteed in there on 3 years. I mean, that's not necessarily starter money when you break it down over 3 years, right? But that 67.5 likely is. And if we've learned anything from Jimmy and Don Yee and his agents, right? If he plays, he's going to get every penny of that 67.5. He's done it to the Niners over and over and over throughout all the years of injuries and all that, right? He's going to get that money, and that does say starter money. Now, the tier of starter, I don't know, but I think he's being humble. I'm not here because of the familiarity with Josh. I'm here to earn it, and I want to earn your guys' respect. I'm not just coming in here expecting it. So I think he's saying the right things and just trying to kick the ball off the right way over there in Las Vegas.
I typically tend to agree. I think it's a lot of quarterback speak. It's a lot of media training speak. It's a lot of getting out in front. And, there was questions within the San Francisco locker room, particularly after the story came out that after Jimmy signed that extension with San Francisco, he was nowhere to be found. They couldn't find him. The fact that nobody could contact him in the offseason. George Kittle's talking like he never returns my texts or anything like that. So I think that some of the narrative can start going that, oh, he's not a team guy. He's not a team player. He's not a leader. He's not this and that. It's just him getting out in front of that stuff. It's a new city. It's a fresh start. And, for me, it's Jimmy Garoppolo soothing over some of the, frankly, hurt pride with the way that his run in San Francisco ended. It's not as much for the media as it is for him, too. Almost like pumping himself up and saying, like, look, I got to go out here and earn it. I got to do this. I got to do that. Because he knows that his run in San Francisco did not end well. A lot of injuries, a lot of things going forward. But when guys get to new cities, they tend to want to start fresh. So to me, it's a much ado about nothing. It's an entire statement that really doesn't say much. But, it's something that he was going to do anyway.
The only reason why it kind of stuck out to me, and I wanted to bring it up, is because the I don't want to be the leader just because I'm the quarterback type statement that he gave out there. Like basically kind of hinting at like, that's what my old team just did with Trey. They gave it to him. I want to earn it. But it is what it is. I see both sides, right? Jimmy is a master at talking like a politically correct quarterback. You know what I mean? Like he knows all the words, all the phrases. You know, we got to get it. We got to just put our head down and get to work. Like the typical sports phrases you hear from quarterbacks. He's a master at it. So it was just a little more of that. That little sentence stuck out to me. Go ahead, Mike.
So you think it was a shot at Trey? You think it was a shot at the way the Niners handled Trey?
Not actually at Trey, maybe at the coaching staff and leadership, because I think him and Trey, from all looks from the outside looking in, are friends. They seem like good friends, but I think, all right, okay, they at least get along from a mentor-mentee standpoint.
I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo likes Trey Lance at all.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he likes him at all. I think he was doing his job like, hey, I'll be the team player guy. But at the same time, all of these athletes have a certain level of ego. That's how you get to be a professional athlete, because you're the best of the best at what you do. And even we all harp on Jimmy Garoppolo and for what he doesn't do. But the fact of the matter is that he's a starting quarterback in the NFL, which means that he has a certain level of talent, and to go along with that, there's a certain level of ego and expectation. And for them to draft your replacement right in front of your eyes, and then for you to not be able to get traded and have to take a huge pay cut to come back and sit behind that guy, nah, man, he got chapped from that. And so I don't think they got along at all, if I'm being completely honest.
Okay, all right. We delved into something I wasn't even expecting to delve into. I thought maybe this was just a shot, but it makes sense.
No, I mean, honestly, I think that sentence is more of, you know, if anything, it could be a shot at Trey, but in the opposite way that I think you're thinking of. Whereas like, oh, they just thrust Trey into this because, you know, and I'm worried about him out of the goodness of my heart or whatever. I think it's more of a situation where Jimmy's sitting there going like, look, y'all want me to be a leader, but then you just like go off and hand it to the kid. And like, what am I supposed to be think about that? And like, you want me to be a team player. You want me to do all this stuff. Yeah, I'm taking a pay cut. I'm doing all this stuff. So when he goes to the new thing, he's going to, you know, of course he's going to say, oh yeah, I can be a leader, but because I'm going to earn it, this and this and that. So it's a shot at Trey for his draft position. But what are the 49ers going to do? You know, they specifically said we drafted Trey because the other guy couldn't stay healthy and we need somebody out there on the field. Now, however Jimmy feels about that because of his ego, that's up to him. But he definitely is out there trying to kind of rehab himself. So I think there is a little bit of bad blood. They'll never say it, of course, but it's, I mean, if somebody took my job, I wouldn't like that guy much either.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, I get it. Mike, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with what you said about Jimmy, like, you know, always having the PC answer, right?
Yeah.
He knows exactly what to say in front of the media so that you don't have a reason to hate him. He masks all of his emotions because there's no room for it in football. You know, I'm here, I gotta play. That's the bottom line, right? So he says all the right things, so you can't say, oh, like you walk away saying, oh, he's such a good guy. He's such a good guy. And that's all we heard the whole time he was here. The whole time he was here, the last 3 years, they were searching desperately for his replacement. That's all we heard. He's a good guy. Everybody on the team loves Jimmy. Trey Lance, as soon as he gets drafted, first text I got was from Jimmy Garoppolo. How did you get your number? It wasn't the first text you got. Like, stop lying. But whatever. Like, it's just little things like that. It's impossible to hate him because he is like the media trained professional. Like that. That's just what he is.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, to piggyback off of the Jimmy was Trey's like, oh, the first person to text me with Jimmy. The text probably was like, hey Trey, this is Don. I mean Jimmy. Dang, autocorrect. That's exactly how that went, man. He didn't text him. If George Kittle can't get a text back from Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance sure as hell ain't getting a text.
That's funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, he's just texting real quick just to let him know his place in the pecking order, right? Don't get too bold. Don't get too confident. This is my job. All right. The quarterback that we didn't talk about was spotted this past week. And I'm not going to lie. I don't know why it made my heart hurt a little bit, but it did. I should have been expecting this shot. But I'm sure you guys have seen this going around social media. Brock Purdy has been spotted with going through his recovery by Sean McIntyre on Twitter. He's got the giant biomechanical arm, whatever the hell it's called. It's just a brace, I know, but it looks like it's like half robotic. Matt, Is this roughly what we should be expecting? It's a little jarring in my opinion, but he had pretty major surgery, right? So it's
jarring. Dude, surgery happened like what, 2 weeks ago? Of course he's
something
still
like that.
in something that's supposed to keep his arm from extending too fast, and there's going to be support there. I mean, you're bracing a ligament, so you definitely need to take care in allowing that to heal properly. And he's going to be going through range of motion exercises at the very least. He's not going to be doing much strength exercises, but as somebody who has, I mean, a couple of arms, it's very easy to like not think about it, right? And then all of a sudden, like you reach out for something or you jerk your elbow or something like that. And that's exactly what they want to avoid. So this is very similar to like a knee brace. You'll see a dude who just had a knee surgery, or like, a shoulder sling for somebody that just had, it just looks bad because of how metallic it is. It has the hinged joint with, the metal siding, and it looks worse than it is, but this is par for the course. This is nothing to worry about for me.
Mike, did you have any takes on seeing this picture? No, nothing at all. Okay.
Just a baby face assassin right there. That's all.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. This offseason is going to be so interesting as far as Brock, as when he will be 100%. Does he get close to 100% before preseason? If Brock and Trey are both fully healthy coming out of OTAs, maybe not necessarily going into OTAs, who do the 49ers devote all of their resources behind? Mike, I'll ask you first.
Oh, all right, we're going to start with the hot take. Guys, this is Trey Lance's team. I know what everyone said. I know what everyone saw. I saw how far we got and the average that we put up per game and all that stuff. And I have come to this realization. The 49ers, since Brian Hoyer, no one has lost their job for performance at the quarterback position other than Brian Hoyer. That's the only quarterback. Once Jimmy was the guy, he only lost his job to injury. And then as Nick Mullins came in, won some games. Beathard came in, won some games. As soon as Jimmy was healthy, it was Jimmy's job again. They get Trey Lance. Kyle comes to the podium immediately. None of us believed them immediately and said, this is still Jimmy's team. Trey is not expected to be the starter, right? And then all those rumors came out. Oh, he was ahead of him in camp and all that stuff, whatever. There was an injury. For whatever reason, it was still Jimmy's team, right? Jimmy gets hurt. Trey comes in against Arizona, right? Terrible game. Run. Look bad. We lost that game, I believe. Jimmy comes right back. Jimmy gets injured again. Trey comes in against Houston. First half was rough. Second half looked pretty good. I think the faithful were like, all right, let's keep rolling with this guy. Let's see what he's got. Jimmy was like, yeah, I'm back. I'm ready. Kyle said, all right, you're back in there. They don't bench starting quarterbacks for injury. They just don't. It's going to be Trey's team, and he is going to literally have to lose it on the field before they go back to Brock Purdy.
I don't know, man. Matt, go ahead.
I mean, listen, I know we all want Trey Lance and Brock Purdy to have a nice competition and may the best man win and stuff like that. But as a Scottish songwriter named Eric Bogle once said, if wishes were fishes, we'd all cast nets in the sea. Fact of the matter is, Brock Purdy's not going to be ready. Brock Purdy's not going to be ready by training camp. He's not going to be ready by preseason. He'll be the 6-month window where he would be fully cleared would be right around the beginning of the season. So I just don't think that you would rush him back and risk having him have a setback or anything else like we've seen so many times before with players rushing to get back. You don't need to. At the very least, you roll into the season with Trey Lance, and then you have Sam Darnold back him up. And then whenever Brock Purdy's ready, he's a backup. And as Mike said, if Trey Lance ain't the guy, he'll play himself out of that job, and we'll see Brock Purdy when he's ready. But going into the season, this is going to be Trey Lance's job. Brock Purdy played really, really well. And if there were time for him to get healthy and be in competition in training camp and roll through that, then I think he could have a shot to unseat Trey Lance. But the way the injury is and the way that they had to delay the surgery because of all the swelling, it's not going to happen. I mean, to me, it's already pretty apparent that it's going to take Brock Purdy probably a little bit of time to get back, probably around the maximum time that they're estimating, simply because look how long it took for the swelling just to go down, which is a little bit abnormal, and I'm sure they were doing stuff, but it tells me that the injury was severe and that, it's going to take time to build back up, and he'll build back up, but why rush it? There's no need to. The recent, I don't know, Vegas did like a whole thing where they bet on, like, they have their win total predictions or whatever, and so they have projected strength of schedules out there. The NFC's in a down year. I don't really care what anybody says about the Seattle Seahawks signing Bobby Wagner back or whatever. Like, that's neither here nor there. The 49ers are really the team to beat in the NFC, so it's no rush. If he comes back week 3, he comes back week 3. If he comes back week 2, it's week 2. It's just going to depend. But again, that's why they bring in Sam Darnold. The Sam Darnold acquisition told me that they think Brock Purdy's not going to be ready. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd love to see it, but week 1, Trey Lance is your starting quarterback.
I thought it was interesting that when Sam Darnold was asked about the 49ers quarterback situation and if he, was basically joining to be QB3, I don't have the exact quote. Oh, here it is right here. There are some unknowns with Brock's injury and Trey coming back, but I think those are things with a good quarterback room. As long as we stick together, we understand we've just got hard work and put the best foot forward for each other. Everything's going to work out. At the end of the day, as long as we're winning games, that's the only thing that matters to me. Those 2 comments about, Trey and Brock returning is a little, unsteady. I wonder if coaching and management kind of pitched that to him as a reason to come and sign here.
No.
You don't think so?
He knows he knows what the deal is. Why would anybody promise Sam Darnold anything on his 3rd opportunity?
Well, not promise.
There's no way. Listen, you're going to have some 49ers Twitter jokers out there breaking down film on Sam Darnold like the dude's going to play. He's not going to play unless somebody gets hurt.
Well,
this is I see ghosts on national television, dude. Listen, that's great. If you think he's going to be anything other than QB3 when the time comes, he's all insurance. Everything in his contract is escalator based off playing time. And over
the past 2 years, when the 49ers not needed that insurance policy at the quarterback position.
Okay, that's fine. But how many times have they gotten to QB3? You know what I mean? Like QB4.
Mike.
Right? I mean, at some point, listen, like
hold on now, Matt.
Okay.
QB3 plays regularly here. Let's be honest.
I didn't push back at the time. I didn't push back at the time because I really don't care. But when you're talking about Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard, those 2 traded off because they were playing like trash, and they went with a new guy to see if it would turn it up. Like when Nick Mullins got replaced by CJ Beathard, it wasn't necessarily because he couldn't play physically. It's because he just couldn't play talent-wise. So a lot of that's Jimmy Garoppolo too. And if you believe that Trey Lance's leg thing was bad luck, and you believe that Brock Purdy's UCL was bad luck, then you're not signing Sam Darnold to play. So he might look at it that way, but to come in and say, "Oh, Trey Lance situation is kind of dicey," Trey Lance is good to go. Trey Lance is going to be good to go for OTAs, but it's not even the draft yet. So where are the OTAs at? They're not here.
I think it's pretty fair to say he'll likely be quarterback 3, maybe quarterback 2 until Brock's fully healthy. But
he'll be QB2 until Brock's healthy.
Yeah, there's a chance he sees this field with.
That's why I think Brock Purdy's not going to be ready in time. That tells me Brock Purdy's not going to be ready in time. Not that Trey Lance isn't. Because if Trey Lance wasn't going to be ready either, then you got to look at it like, dude, we got to get somebody good in here then. We got to get somebody who's a little bit higher up the scale than Sam Darnold, because there were people available. Yep. And they went with Sam Darnold. So,
speaking of quarterbacks possibly being available, Ben Roethlisberger came out on, I don't know if it was a radio interview or a podcast or what, talking about how the 49ers reached out to him last year. Did not specify when. Could have been when Jimmy went down. Could have been when could have been when Trey went down. Could have been when Jimmy went down. I don't think he specified exactly when. But what do you guys make of this? Do you guys believe this? Does he have any reason to lie? I mean, it kind of caused a stir at 49ers Twitter over the past week. Matt.
Bro, a drop of water in the ocean causes a stir with 49ers Twitter, if we're being real. It's some overreact. I mean, we did a pick swap for Zane Gonzalez and the world was ending.
Yeah, that's the next topic I have here.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's probably true, and I think it probably happened after Jimmy Garoppolo went down and before they knew what they were going to get out of Brock Purdy. But then when Brock Purdy started playing, probably particularly against that game that we were at in, against Tampa Bay, then they just decided to let it rock, because I mean, you're talking about Ben Roethlisberger. He ain't 2010 Big Ben. This dude was washed. He had it's kind of ironic. He had the same or similar elbow surgery that Brock Purdy had. He had to have surgery on his elbow too, and missed the entire season. He hurt it like week 3 against. I mean, it was that 2019 season where we ended up seeing Mason Rudolph because in week 2 or 3 or whatever he hurt himself against the Seahawks and wasn't able to play. So it's not like he was, he's just the best of a bad situation,
Mike, what do you make of this?
Mute.
You're muted.
Sorry, I'm just glad it didn't happen. I don't have Ben Roethlisberger is not someone that I've liked for a long time, so I'm just glad it didn't happen. It would have been bad, really bad. So I'm just glad it didn't happen.
I agree with Matt in the sense that how much better would he have been than Josh Johnson? Like, yeah, the knowledge is there, the experience is there, but physically he could barely push the ball 10 yards down the field as it was. So, and this was a quote from Big Ben. I had a conversation with my agent, with my wife, my family. I'd be lying if I didn't say there was a small part of me that was intrigued. I could still do it and prove to people that I could still play. At the end of the day, I just can't see myself anything other than black and gold. So it wasn't meant to be, but yeah, it would have been very, very weird to see that happen, but it is what it is. I think there was a report that Phillip Rivers as well was reached out.
I was about to say, I was going to put it out there. I think Phillip Rivers would have been a better fit than Ben Roethlisberger. Phillip Rivers known for throwing stuff underneath. Ben Roethlisberger was that chuck it and duck it, and then he lost his arm strength and couldn't do it anymore, and he didn't know how to do it. But I think, and from I'm with Mike, and I don't need to say the reasons why I don't like Ben Roethlisberger. I think they're readily apparent. But, I'd rather have somebody who has strong values and can talk crap to people without saying a cuss word and still get underneath people's skin, right? Hold your values, but still stand up for yourself. Like, hey, that's a better moral compass to me than what Ben Roethlisberger was about. So I'm glad that didn't go down either.
Question here from Jay Pezzi 901. Will Bosa's contract get done before the season starts? History. Is he entering his last year? When was he drafted? 2019?
2019.
I believe his 5th-year option has to be exercised this year, if I'm not mistaken. And then but they will likely do his contract this year just because it just frees up cap space, and they know that he's not going anywhere. So I think it'll get done in the next what are we in April? We got April coming up, May, June, July, or in the next 4 months or so, they'll get his contract done.
I mean, history tells us they get these big contracts done June, July-ish, right? So I'd put it right around then.
Yeah, he'll probably want to go into the season with that underneath his belt. I think this is year 5 for him. So 2019 rookie year, good year. Year 2 is the ACL. Year 3 was the year before this one. This was year 4 that he went DPOY. So yeah, this is year 5. They'll get it done because he's going to want to not what's it called? He's going to want to not go into a season without insurance or whatever on his contract. So, and his situation, especially given, I mean, come on, the Niners get injured all the time. So he's going to want that insurance for sure.
I'm seeing, I just saw it, Mike, he in the chat here. Apparently a video got out of him getting pulled over. I haven't seen the video, but this was last year.
Oh, it was last year.
That's what it's saying in the video. I haven't watched it, but the text on it says he was pulled over last year. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just sent it's only a minute long video. I took it off of Wayne's channel. But
okay, we've all been pulled over though. That ain't no.
Yeah, it was a failing yield. It wasn't a big deal.
It's like a traffic stop.
Don't extend him. This is huge character concern.
I know, right? Character issue. Red flag. You didn't yield, bro. He probably goes,
Jason,
hey, he's the type of dude that goes 26 on 25.
Jason Hurley, cap expert, says no chance Nick plays on the 5th-year option. Yeah, I agree. I don't think someone of his caliber would leave that up to just that sort of openness. Matt, you talked about Zane Gonzalez and the 49ers acquiring him. I have a tweet from Mike pulled up that I'm sure Mike knows which one I'm talking about, that I want to get your guys' thoughts on. Specifically, Mike, I'd love to get him to expand on this a little bit. Obviously, don't got to name names, but I thought this was funny, right? So Mike tweets out, 49ers content creators all offseason sign a cheap vet and draft a kicker to compete with him. 49ers exchange draft picks for a cheap kicker with 0 guarantees. Same 49ers content creators. This guy didn't even play last season, and we gave up a pick for him. I share the frustration, Mike, but can you expound a little bit more on this and your thoughts?
It's clowns, man. Like, I hate this overreaction. You know, like Matt, a drop of rain in the ocean will set waves in 49ers community, man. It's freaking terrible, man. Like, this is exactly what we were all asking for, right? I think all of us thought that Robbie Gould was getting up there in age. He's going to cost too much. A lot of us thought that his last contract cost too much. He kind of held the team hostage and all that, right? So we were looking for a cheaper vet to come in here, compete with an unsigned guy, and may the best man win, right? The Niners go out there and they do that. They go and get a guy who's 80+% field goal percentage. He didn't play last year due to an injury. Because of that injury, his guarantees were all taken care of. Sorry about the squeaking. My dog just found this toy. So he goes out, he gets the injury. The monies are all paid, the guarantees. So the Niners don't owe this guy anything. And they didn't even give up a draft pick for him. They exchanged picks. But if you look at those content creators that are outraged by this, it's, oh, we gave up a draft kick for a guy who didn't even play. We don't even know if his groin is healed or whatever. You hear people saying it's his ankle. It was his groin, right? Like, it's just outrage for the sake of being outraged and getting clicks. And I don't like it, man. It's lazy. And it's targeting a specific audience in 49ers Twitter. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly. Same. I just don't understand. It's the same people that are like, Robbie Gould costs too much. Robbie Gould's getting up there in age. We don't want Robbie here anymore. He can't hit 50-yarders. He can't kick touchbacks. That dude doesn't even want to be on kickoffs. He's this, he's that, whatever. And then it's like, man, it's like a late round pick swap too. I don't even know which round it is. It's like,
it's not even this year.
Right. It's like 2025. It's like 2025 or something like that.
2025.
Yeah. You don't even, so they're not even specifying which pick it is, and it's in 2025 in 2 years.
Conditional.
And it's just like, dang, man. Like, someone could hand 49ers Twitter a puppy and they'd find a way to like kick it. You know, it's just like, this is what you wanted. Robbie Gould's been holding up the team.
Do you know how aggressive pit bulls are? Is this a pit bull puppy? Like, what is this? These animals are vicious. You can't do that.
I'm just saying, like, I just don't get it. And it is a certain style. And we know who's if there was a 49ers Twitter tree, we know who started the tree, and it's a lot of the disciples from that tree. I ain't gonna name names just because we all know who I'm talking about. But it's the overwrought overreaction. Let's do this for clicks. You know, it's the same people that when the Seahawks signed Bobby Wagner, it's like, hold on about the 49ers winning the division. Whoop, whoop, whoop. It's just like 49ers have questions at quarterback. The Seahawks are blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, dude, the Seahawks are still running Geno Smith. And Geno Smith had a really good first half of the year, not second half of the year. And one day he's going to wake up and, he can talk about, what we say, they wrote about me, I didn't write them back. He's going to wake up one day and remember that he needs to sign every check that he writes as Geno Smith. And he's like, oh, I'm Geno Smith. And the 20 interceptions is going to come back and he's going to be trash again, just like he was in New York. I don't believe in Geno Smith. They don't believe in Geno Smith. Just look at the contract they gave him. It doesn't tell me he's replaceable. This is like, he's replaceable. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. If you go up and down the board, there's no place where the Seahawks are outright, out and out miles better at any position group than the 49ers, in my opinion.
Jason Hurley says, no big deal on the Zane deal. Not guaranteed anything. His $1.465 million isn't guaranteed. Swap of 2025 late round picks. Big deal. Don't get some people always want to complain about something. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. They want to find something to complain about. And look, I know he didn't play last year, but the 49ers article, it says, prior to missing 2022 season due to injury, Gonzalez appeared in 12 games for Carolina in 2021, connected on 20 of 22 field goal attempts and 22 of 23 extra point attempts for 82 total points. He was named NFC Special Teams Player of the Week twice in the season in weeks 8 and 10. Also, the biggest thing in this, in my opinion, is he can do kickoffs. The 49ers were, relegating the punter, Mitch Wisnowski, to doing kickoffs because Robbie either couldn't or didn't want to anymore. And that was clearly affecting, in my opinion, Mitch's ability to do punting because it's maybe taking a little bit of extra strength out of the leg every game. So if this goes back to Gonzalez.
I mean, that, and let's face it, Mitch is like Australian. He loves that rugby, so he'd be out there throwing his body around when he don't need to. Yeah, he got hurt at one point because he tried to make a tackle and got absolutely blasted.
Got flagged too, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm looking at the Geno Smith contract. It was for 3 years, $105 million, but he could earn $50 million of it in the first year because a third of that contract was incentives. That's telling me that you don't believe in the dude because you're hedging. The team is not in the habit of giving out money to players they don't believe in. So what are they going to do? The same thing the 49ers do with Sam Darnold. Like, we're going to give you a cheap deal, but if you have to play, we're going to put these incentives in here to at least make it enticing for you. And so for me, they're going to hedge their bets. They're going to hedge their cap money that Geno doesn't meet those incentives. I don't know. Patrick Mahomes didn't get a contract that was full of incentives. I'll just put it to you that way.
Do you have something to add, Mike?
Well, no, I was just going to comment on the kickoff thing. But as far as the Geno Smith contract goes, I mean, look, it's nice to see a player bounce back, rejuvenated and all that stuff. My beef with him is the comeback player of the year crap. Like, you didn't come back from anything but the bench. So I've been against like that. That was like that soured, put a sour taste in my mouth for Geno. But good for him, and I'm happy that the Niners get to play him twice. I hope that he wins that starting position over there. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. As far as the kickoffs and all that stuff goes, I think the Niners like to do like a directional thing, and I don't think Mitch was good at that. I think it was just boot and just let me just get this down there as soon as possible. This guy, if Zane does get the job, like, good for him because he's going to earn it, but it's just not enough reason to be outraged over neither one, the Geno Smith or the kicker signing. It's not enough to be outraged about.
Yeah. I agree 100%.
It's not even enough to be mildly perturbed about, let alone outrage.
Yeah, it's nothing. See ya. Thanks for everything, Robbie. You were entertaining at times, also very annoying to deal with as a fan at times, but I will miss you taking off the other team by warming up in front of their cheerleaders, in the middle of their cheerleaders, in the middle of their warm-ups, whatever it is. He did a good job of getting in the other team's head, and I appreciate that just from a purely shit-talking aspect. I want to talk real quick about Mike Andrews' favorite, now former 49er, Big Mike. Some call him Slim Mike. He penned a column in ESPN. This is an NBC Sports breakdown of it, but there's an interesting tidbit in here that I'm going to share. He wrote, if you're paying attention, and believe me, I was, it was easy to figure out that I wouldn't be back with the 49ers after this past season. To be honest, I knew for about a year they had Trent Williams making the amount of money he does, and this is just the way the team has always gone about its business. There were no surprises, that's for sure. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan kept me updated the whole time, and they were very clear about what was going to happen. But I definitely got a behind-the-curtain look at how the sausage is made in the NFL. After the 2021 season, they both told me, we may even look to move you at some point. We're projecting into the future, and we think you're going to get priced out. We want something in return. Now, clearly they didn't trade him, but they definitely did get priced out. I think he got like an $82 million contract, something like that, from the Denver Broncos.
5 years, $87.5 million.
Yeah,
with
insane.
52.5 guaranteed.
Insane. Mike, we talked about this previously. I don't know if it was on this podcast or the Patreon over another Niners. And I was saying he's going to cost too much for the 49ers. You were saying, I don't think he's going to cost that much. I texted you after and I said, can we agree he costs too much? This is me taking my little celebratory dance. But what's your take on this? And are you surprised the 49ers are this straight up with how they do business?
Not at all. Not at all. There's a lot to take away from what you read. But I'm going to start with the question that you just asked as far as being priced out, right? I was surprised considering the amount of injuries that McGlinchey has had. I didn't think he was going to get that kind of contract. But I like that he, went out and tested free agency and didn't just settle for whatever low ball offer the 49ers maybe offered him. The way he's talking, it sounds like they didn't even offer him anything. So I'm happy for him. Good job on him, and I hope he goes out there and really, really kicks ass, especially because he's in the AFC. Go out there and be an all-pro now. You know what I'm saying? Like, go out there and make people regret talking shit about him over here and with the 49ers. Like, I'm really, really happy for him. I'll get to the other stuff afterwards if you guys want to talk about the contract.
Matt, do you have anything to add?
I'm not surprised that he got priced out. I mean, he's got the 6th highest contract at right tackle, and some of the guys that he gets paid more than at this point in time, it's pretty preposterous that he makes more money. That's fine. It is what it is. He went out there and he got his. That's for sure. But I think that a lot of what we complained about with Mike McGlinchey, in terms of pass blocking, in terms of getting, pushed back a little too much, in terms of getting bullied around a little bit, particularly during, I think it was 2020, where he was very slim. Mike looked like he was training with Joe Staley after Joe Staley retired. And, Joe Staley obviously was like a lot of offensive linemen after he retired, and he didn't have to keep all that weight on. He took a lot of weight off. Looked like Mike came back way too slim, which, I mean, he admitted that he took off too much weight, but, a lot of the things that we picked up on him for as a player kind of, I think, informed the team, hey, if he's going to get a big money contract, we can't give it to him. And $17.5 million a year for what he was producing, it's just not a good value for this team and what they want to do. He might go to Denver and they might have a different scheme that fits him a lot better with what they want to do, and he might thrive there. But for this team, $17.5 million when you're paying Trent Williams on the other side, I mean, it's almost like it's hard to, blame the 49ers when you have the direct comparison, right? You watch Trent Williams every day, you watch Mike McGlinchey every day, and some of the dollars and cents aren't going to add up with that $17.5 million. So I just think that it's really cool of the 49ers, and you don't get to hear about it all the time, that even after 2021, they're like, hey, dude, we might try to move you because we want to get something for you, and we think you're going to make too much money for us to be able to re-sign you. At least give them the heads up, right? I mean, I don't know if you guys ever watched the Bussin' with the Boys podcast with Taylor Lewan and I'm spacing on the other guy's name. I like him too.
Will Compton, I think, right?
Will Compton, yeah. Christian McCaffrey was on there, and he was blindsided by the trade to the 49ers. So, it's cool for the team to be able to tell him ahead of time, hey, look, this is what we're trying to do. We're going to keep you informed, and for there to be no hard feelings like that. So it's just another feather in the cap of the 49ers being a very positively run franchise overall.
Straight up, too. I think that was my main takeaway. Going back to Jimmy Ward on his Instagram Live, talking about when he went to Kyle, talking about he wants to go back to safety, and Kyle goes, "We want to ride the bench." Like, that's either you play nickel or you ride the bench.
Play nickel or you don't play.
Yeah. And hey, I respect it. A little bit more from McGlinchey per this article. He said, in a way, I got lucky. I don't know the percentage of players who play long enough and well enough to be in this position, but I know I'm fortunate. I stayed healthy enough to play out my 5th-year option with the Niners, to be home and comfortable and stay with the people I worked with my whole career and play on a damn good football team. So thanks for everything, Slim Mike. Unfortunately, you never really panned out to what the 49ers expected from you. Matt, I will say you hit this one out of the park from when they drafted him, saying maybe he just benefited from being right next to Quentin Nelson, because that was the first thing you said when the 49ers drafted him. Let's pump the brakes. How good is he, or how good is he just looking because he's next to, an insanely talented Quentin Nelson?
Yeah, an absolute monster. Yeah, and I just think that it became readily apparent when you watched him run blocker, can get out there, fire out. He'll throw you a block at the second level in the run game really well. But against those particularly power rushers, he just gets bullied. His pad level's too high, his feet are too slow, and he ends up getting pushed back. I mean, I hate that his lasting image with the 49ers is going to be completely sideways against Micah Parsons, but it is what it is, man. Memeable materials. We live in 2023. That's what's going to happen. But I wish him well. Obviously, no hard feelings or whatever. Minus that one time he tried to talk smack about, like, after he had a good game or whatever. He had like one good game and he started chirping on Twitter, and then the next game he had like a garbage game, and then everybody piled on. You kind of set that one up for yourself, but he stopped chirping after that. I think he learned his lesson. But I wish him well. No hard feelings there.
Yeah,
and I'm always
still here.
By the way, no, like even Mike talked about it with Geno Smith. I'm not mad at Geno Smith for going and getting his contract. I just don't think that he's going to live up to that contract, and it could make me happier as a 49ers fan just because he plays for the Seahawks.
Yeah. So go ahead, Mike.
Another takeaway from that caption, those two captions that you read, he said something that was extremely telling about this offseason, right? A lot of people are saying, who's going to be the right tackle? Are we going to draft the guy? Do we sign someone in free agency? The Niners were prepared to move on him during the season, which tells me the answer for right tackle is in-house. And I don't think it's Colton McKivitz. I know that we just signed him back, or, we re-signed him and all that. But if it was Colton McKivitz, I think they would have extended him earlier. I think there's someone else in-house that the team was comfortable with had they found a trade partner for Mike McGlinchey during the season. So you
think it's like Jalen Moore or somebody?
Jalen Moore, maybe. All right, so hear me out. This is going to sound crazy.
Alfredo Gutierrez?
No. God, no. Listen to this, all right? I think if we step back and just try to recall everything that you saw on the field, Mike McGlinchey's comments, the late re-signing of Colton McKivitz, this is what I honestly think. If you watch 49ers games all year long, they were doing something weird at right guard. Spencer Burford in for 5 or 6 series, and then boom, Brunskill's in there. Why were they doing that? I think the plan, call me crazy, was Spencer Burford to right tackle, and we got to make sure Brunskill has fresh legs at the right guard, like ready to go in the event that we do move on from Mike McGlinchey. I really, really think that there's a strong possibility it's Spencer Burford. I really, really think that, because why else were they moving him in and out of the lineup? Burford would be playing well, and then all of a sudden it's just like, all right, let's put in Brunskill. Let's just see what he does here. And I'm like, why do they keep doing this? And it's just, I think those are the dots that we need to connect, right? McGlinchey comes out and tells you straight up, they were upfront with me. We're not going to bring you back at the end of the year. We're not likely to bring you back at the end of the year. And to be completely transparent with you, if we can move you, we will. So just keep all that in mind. Now you're looking at the right guard, who was originally a tackle that they moved inside the guard, right? And now you bring back Colton McKivitz late on a flyer. Like, what if Colton McKivitz got a bigger offer somewhere else and all that? Like, there were so many reasons why I don't think it's Colton McKivitz. And then I'm trying to justify why they were shuffling that guard position. I think it's a possibility Burford kicks back outside. It's just I'm just trying to connect dots. I'm grasping at straws here, but that tells me that there's an in-house answer somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, he'll have to clean up his lower body technique. One of the things that, like, when they drafted him that I really looked at was the fact that, like, he has good anchor when he's positioned well, but a lot of times, he didn't have great knee bend and he could get kind of pushed around in space. So, I mean, if we see the same rise out of him that we saw, say, out of an Aaron Banks, who, when he was drafted, had slow feet, couldn't really move, all this stuff. I think that that's actually not a bad shout. I mean, he's big enough. He's 6'4", like 300 pounds. So he's definitely big enough. And then, I mean, that could even, allow them to use one of those thirds if they don't feel like moving up for somebody, since right guard isn't his premium position. If you don't even feel well with Brunskill and you feel like there's a guy in the third that you can draft and put in there and at least trade off with Brunskill until the kid's ready, then yeah, I definitely could see that.
Chat saying John Feliciano, 49ers just signed him. I'm going to do a quick recap since the last time we did a show of the free agents that have been signed. I'm going to pull this up for the 49ers website. And then there's one last topic I have that I want to get you guys' thoughts on. So this is from the entire free agency period, re-signed Jake Brendel to a 4-year deal, signed Sam Darnold to a 1-year deal, re-signed Ross Dwelly to a 1-year deal, signed Cleveland Farrell, former first-round pick, to a 1-year deal, re-signed Demetrius Flanagan-Foles to a 1-year deal, re-signed safety Deshaun Gibson to a 1-year deal, signed Kevin Givens to a 1-year contract extension, signed, this is the splash signing, Javon Hargrave to a 4-year deal, signed Miles Hartford, safety, to a 1-year deal from Panthers, so he follows the defensive coordinator. Juwan Jennings tendered a 1-year contract. T.Y. McGill re-signed a 1-year deal. Colton McKivitz signed a 2-year extension. Isaiah Oliver signed a 2-year deal through 2024. Somewhat of a pretty talented corner from Atlanta. And then long snapper Tabor Pepper signed a 3-year extension. The offensive lineman we were just talking about, John Feliciano, signed a 1-year deal. And defensive lineman Austin Bryant signed a 1-year deal. Are any of you guys overwhelmed, underwhelmed, just, impressed? Or how do you feel about this year's free agency class? I've seen people make a lot of fuss about it.
No, I think that this gives the Niners a lot of flexibility in the draft. I think this is one of those drafts that we can sit back and let the draft board fall to them, much like what they did last season, last draft class, right? The first time since Kyle and John have been here, no moves were made. They literally just let the board fall to them, and they made their picks. No moving up, no moving down. They stayed pat. They stood tall where they were. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen again this year. I would bet against that. I think there will be some movement, just playing the odds, right? But the only questionable moves that were in there, to me, not even questionable, but Ross Dwelly, right? Like, they have been clearly trying to find someone else at that tight end 2 position, and they just can't seem to do it. I mean, how many years in a row have we had this trio in here, right? Like Ross Dwelly, George Kittle, and what's my guy's name? Is it Hokett? No, not Hokett. What's the other tight end's name? God damn it, I'm blanking. But you guys know him.
The kid from Stanford, right?
I cannot remember his name right now. But they've been here for the last 3 seasons or so together, while the Niners have been just constantly looking to upgrade that tight end position. And if Ross Dwelly is the worst that you're bringing back, then you're still in good hands. Charlie Warner, that's his freaking name. Thank you. But if that's the worst that you're doing, then that's great. But that list that Zach put up was in chronological order, which tells me even furthermore, look how late Colton McKivitz was on that list. I don't think he was the guy at right tackle. He had plenty of time to get other offers somewhere else. And this was where he ended up coming back to. That's why I don't think it was him.
Interesting. All right.
And the Isaiah Oliver, really quick, played with Ahkello Witherspoon in college. So, we're going to get that feisty type of guy here. He's a sticky guy. I know as soon as we picked him up, you saw the clip going around of him picking off Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's going to be one of those things. But I really liked what we saw. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I liked what I saw when I went back and watched some of the tape. But there's also reasons why the Falcons didn't bring him back. That's all. I'm not going to dump on the guy. Different systems, different schemes, and our secondary. I know people don't want to admit it. It seems to be really plug and play. One thing I can say about Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans is that there was really no drop off, even when we had to suffer through, and I really mean that when I say it right, even when we had to suffer through the Josh Norman experience, right? Like, that was not an experience that you really want to write home about. However, he found his niche on the defense, right? He punching the ball out. That was kind of his saving grace. You know what I mean? So they find a way to make whoever work. The Ambry Thomas thing, in and out of the lineup, Diamador Lenore, in and out of the lineup. They find ways to make it work with guys. I think that we're sitting back, and I think we're looking pretty good. They have all of their key players at every position group locked in. You got your Nick Bosa, your Armstead, and they go out and get Hargraves. That defensive line, for the most part, is okay, barring any injuries, right? You got your all-pro at Fred Warner. You got your all-pro at Nick Bosa. And then you got your secondary out there. I mean, there's not a lot to be overly concerned. Yeah, that's right. Jordan Matthews was another experiment at tight end, right? They really went back and just got a lot of solid players where if their numbers are called, they're familiar with the system, most of them, and we're going to be able to keep this thing going until we find out who we're going to be adding through the draft.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I like what the 49ers did. It was a good mix of bringing back guys like Deshaun Gibson, who played really well for us. With the departing Azeez Al-Shire, we had to bring back Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. There were a couple of other guys, T.Y. McGill, I believe. The Dwelly thing, I'm not too worried about. It's a 1-year deal. It's probably not a lot of like guaranteed money. So if they do find something in the draft, they can probably let him go. No problem there. Isaiah Oliver, I like that signing just from the fact that, yeah, there were some struggles playing, but it seemed once Atlanta moved him into the slot, he actually found a home there. Unfortunately, he's an ACL guy, so we'll have to kind of figure out what that looks like going forward. But the two signings I really like are the Austin Bryant signing and the Cleveland Farrell signing. This team likes to take these reclamation defensive ends and will turn them into a pair of 5 to 7 sack guys. And when you already have Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, and now the incoming Javon Hargrave, like 5 to 7 sacks with two guys that you can just rotate in and out, not to mention you have second-round pick Drake Jackson. I think that defensive line is looking really good, as a matter of fact. And I don't think that they need too much else there. Other people were talking about, oh, you got to sign this guy who's like high price, or you got to sign this guy. And as we can see, the 49ers are, I think, 3rd or 4th lowest in cap space right now. Obviously, they could do more restructures, but they're really concentrating on the Nick Bosa extension, I believe, at this point, as they should. But they do these things where they get, a bargain basement guy here, another bargain guy here, and they tend to, especially Coach K on that line, tends to maximize their potential. I mean, we saw it with Kerry Hyder. Has a great year here, goes to Seattle, is kind of a bum, and then they bring him back. I just think that this coaching staff with what Kyle Shanahan wants to do, they mesh really well, and they're able to kind of, for lack of a better word, polish those rough edges, and get guys out there. I've said this before, going from D'Amico Ryans to getting what I think is a home run at defensive coordinator in Steve Wilks. I mean, he's going to have that defense ready to play. I don't know. I'm very excited on what they're going to do. And I do agree with Mike. It does give them a lot of flexibility in the draft. You can draft for depth in the future. You can trade up and get, a blue chipper if you really feel like there's somebody, if that's the back half of the first round and somebody you had like a top 10 grade on slips for whatever reason, you can package picks and go up and get them. And then this is the last year that the 49ers, barring, a huge move, are going to be without a first-round pick. So next year they're going to have their first-round picks back. You can restock the cupboard that way. I like what they did. It wasn't super splashy outside of Hargrave, but overall, I think they did enough without overextending the team and taking away their flexibility to keep the window open.
Yeah. We have a super chat we'll get to right now, but I agree with you guys. I was not expecting the 49ers to go out and make a ton of splashy free agency signings. Like Matt said, they didn't even have that much cap space to begin with. They restructured a few deals here and there. I was completely surprised by the Javon Hargrave signing. I was not expecting that. He wasn't even expecting that. He's like, when a team with the caliber of the 49ers calls, that's like a one-in-a-lifetime scenario. Usually a team that's in position to pay somebody the amount that they paid me, they're rebuilding. They're, still trying to find a way to get things done. And the 49ers are in such unique position because of who is playing quarterback. 2 quarterbacks still on their rookie pay schedule, on their rookie contract. So Jimmy Garoppolo is still here, would not be possible. Jimmy Garoppolo is not here, so they're able to make these signings. I was really impressed with how they handled free agency. Both of you guys hit it right on the head. This allows them a lot of flexibility in the draft, sign for the future, sign for depth. I'm impressed. But let's get to the super chat from our guy, Taryn. I think safety is our most concerning need at the moment. Should safety be addressed with one of our 3rd-round picks? Whoever wants to go first.
I don't know that it's the most important. I mean, they brought back Tashawn Gibson, who plays one safety. You have Talanoa Hufanga, who's going into season 3 at the other safety. I think it's lost on a lot of people that George Odom is still here, and he's mainly a special teams contributor, but he's a solid backup. And then they went out and signed Miles Hartsfield from Carolina. Not a household name to everybody, but when you consider that we brought Steve Wilks over and Steve Wilks is familiar with this player, that should say something to you. Now, if you like a guy in the 3rd round and you feel like that's the best value, absolutely you can go out and grab a safety, but I don't know that it's like, oh, we have to get a safety. We're so underserved at the safety position. What are we going to do if, whatever. I don't, if that was the case, then why not, bring back Jimmy Ward and bring him back to safety if you're that concerned about it. I don't think that they feel the same way. And I think it's evident with what they signed and how they're going about it.
This is interesting. I'm going to disagree respectfully, right? Because he's not saying that it's a pressing need. It's the most concerning, right? So you bring back Gibson. You're absolutely right. But you let him get out there. You did let him get out there. He talked about maybe not coming back and all. So it's not necessarily a big hole. I don't think there's a big hole anywhere, right? They bring back Jake Brendel. So that's your center. You bring another guy in here who can compete with him at center, maybe even move to guard. That's Feliciano, right? You have some options here. You have guys like Poe waiting back there somewhere, who been in the system for a year. He's now ready if you need him to come in there and take some snaps, right? There's no big hole anywhere. And if you subscribe
right tackle,
if you subscribe to my crazy theory, the answer for right tackle is already in house. If you subscribe to that theory.
But hold on though. But even if we subscribe to that theory, how many starts does Burford have at right tackle for the 49ers? Zero. Tashawn Gibson has a full season under his belt, as does Talanoa Hufanga. So you can't tell me two guys who have a full season starting here with production is more of a concern than a dude that you're moving positions in the pros. Now, I understand he played in college, but you're moving him in the pros, and you're protecting the side that all three of the quarterbacks got hurt on. Now, Trey Lance's was a run, but Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt rolling to the right side. Brock Purdy got hit on that right side. Yes, it was a tight end. We can debate that all day, but more than ever, I think that some teams' best rushers are rushing from the right side because it's easier to get those strip and sacks. I just
right. Now I agree with you though, Matt. Right? I do agree with what you're saying. We have a third round pick, and it's late in the third round, right? You're not getting a starting right tackle down there. You're not. So it's a matter of who can you draft and groom until they're ready to start. You're more likely to get a safety to replace the older guy that you brought back than to replace a guy with years in the system. And you know what I'm saying? Like, or even a Colton McKivitz. You're not likely to get someone in the third round to come in here right away and take that spot. So I think I agree with what Teron is saying, that the safety might be the top of the draft board right now.
Yeah, if we're talking single picks, then sure. But if it were me and you're like, do we use a third on a safety, or do we package some threes to go out late first and get our right tackle of the future? I'm going to want to go after that right tackle.
You don't have enough threes to get to the first.
With whatever, or even the second, whatever you want to do,
All right, last topic of the evening. If you guys have any questions, any super chats, please send them in. We'll get to them before we wrap up. But this is just something that I wanted to get you guys' thoughts on, because I said this in the chat when it happened. Actually, okay, we just got a super chat, and it's the same topic, so we'll stay on this. Teron, Matt, would you have a rookie right tackle or 1 year offensive line starter in Burford who has offensive tackle experience?
It would depend on who the rookie right tackle was. The offensive line is interesting in that, no matter what kind of scheme you're running, you got to worry about calls, right? Calls are going to be different, but pass blocking and run blocking is pretty similar. You're forming a pocket, so there's only so many ways you can form a pocket. You know what I mean? I don't think it's like quarterback where you got to be like, oh, this system's so complicated, we can't put a rookie. I mean, Burford was a rookie last year and started a bunch of games, so it can be done. And Burford was like a mid-round pick, so it's not even like he was a highly touted guy. I think he was a 4th-round pick. So, it can be done if you get a 1st-round guy in there or whatever. I don't know. I think it could be done, but yeah, that's just me though.
I agree. All right, last topic, and I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts. I said this earlier in the week in the group chat, and I think I took this a little differently as others. It's Brandon Aiyuk, and a little interesting tweet. The guy rarely tweets. He came on Twitter earlier this offseason to take a shot at Grant Cohn, and then he tweeted this. So he says, 1K as the 4th option in a run-first offense. Laughing, crying emoji. I'm as real as it get. Word to little baby, and ESTG. I don't know who that is. I'm ready to stand on business every time. Year 4, rocket emoji. So is somebody like, does he feel slighted in a way? Mike, what do you make of this? Because I took this as maybe the 49ers coming at him a little sideways with contract negotiations. I don't know.
this is all swag and confidence right here, man. This is me patting myself on my back, realizing I'm going into a contract year, and I just got to let the league know that I'm heading into that contract year. Don't forget that they target Christian McCaffrey more than me. They target, well, let me say running backs because Christian wasn't here the whole time, right? But they target him more than me. They target Kittle more than me. They target Debo more than me. And I'm the guy that got the 1K in the receiving yards. I'm the guy that went out there and did that. And that's with he didn't put it in here, but that's with 3 different quarterbacks as well. This is someone who I think a lot of 49er fans will tell you is the better pure receiver of all the receivers on the team. Doesn't mean he's a better weapon. Let me be clear with what I'm saying, but he's definitely the better pure receiver on the team. I don't think this was a shot at the organization. I don't think this was a shot at all. This is just letting people know, hey, I'm here. Let me say something about myself, put my name on radars. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, we got the 5th-year option that we have to exercise after the draft. We have 1 week after the draft to exercise those 5th-year options for him and Kinlaw. And so just put a little bit of swag out there in the universe. I think that's all that was.
Comment from Joey here is interesting. BA also said he's going to do what's best for him when asked about liking a jersey swap over on Brad Graham of the SF Niners channel. Matt, go ahead.
Listen, 2 years is a long time. They ain't going to do no deal for Brandon Aiyuk this year. I don't think it has anything to do with the contract, if we're being honest. That 5th-year option for him is on day 1 of the league year in his 5th season. That's going to be 14 point something million fully guaranteed. He's going to take that. You know what I'm saying? This offseason is the Nick Bosa contract extension offseason. That's what this is. Brandon Aiyuk's got 1 more year until they're not going to extend. They don't extend dudes. I mean, if they're not going to extend Nick Bosa 2 years early, they're definitely not going to extend Brandon Aiyuk 2 years early. He's going to have to wait just like everybody else. And it's got to fall in line with what the team's plans are. This isn't, baseball where you lock up your superstar 21-year-old to a 14-year deal or whatever, right? This is the NFL. And it's what have you done for me lately? And yes, he did have a fantastic year last year, but I think it's more that somebody was probably not giving him his due on the field. And I don't think that it was the 49ers because I think they're well aware of what Brandon Aiyuk's talents are. I mean, it was evident that a lot of the game plans were coming up for Brandon Aiyuk. And in the most clutch moments, they were calling plays for him. So I don't know that it has anything to do with the contract because he's going to get his 5th. They're going to pick up his 5th year. Javon Kinlaw, definitely not. They're not picking up his 5th year, but Brandon Aiyuk's is a no-brainer.
Yeah. Well, and sorry, Zach. Go ahead. I'm sorry. All right. I was just going to add to that. When you're talking about Brandon Aiyuk and all, agents talk to each other. They talk to teams and they share that information among circles. I don't know who his agent is and how it compares, but we have heard about teams calling the Broncos for Sutton and Judy, right? And they won't budge on that price. That Brandon Aiyuk is saying, hey, I'm a really good receiver also. I am a 1st-round pick wide receiver for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so not saying that he's asking to be traded. I don't want to put that out there. But when you put that comment up there about the jersey swap on Brad's interview, right? I'm going to do what's best for me. If a team believes in me and they want to trade for me, I'm going to go out there and show why I need to not only be acquired, but why I should be get paid once you acquire me. So again, it's a little bit of business in that tweet. And again, let people know, like, I'm very confident in who I am. You need that in a wide receiver. You don't want a guy that, I'm just going to keep my head. If a wide receiver went into a locker room and said similar things to what Jimmy said going into Las Vegas, you'd be like, what, this guy, is he timid? Is he scared? You can't be a timid wide receiver in the NFL. You can't do that. So this is kind of the opposite of what Jimmy Garoppolo was saying. Hey, I'm him. I'm that guy. I'm the 4th option. And look at what I'm doing. Imagine if I was on a team where they're targeting me as the number 1 wide receiver. Yeah. You're getting 13, 14, 1,500 yards and a bunch of touchdowns. Like that. That's who I am. Just give me the opportunity. So.
Agreed. 100%.
Was he part of the Buckner trade?
It was one of the 2 picks.
That was their pick though. That was their pick. What they traded up. They got the pick,
right.
And then they traded back to get Javon Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw was the direct, and that's why he gets like so. No, they traded. I think they traded
back into the first round,
1 or 2 to get Aiyuk. No, they had 2 first-round picks that year.
Oh,
Buckner
okay.
Got them a 1. They had their own 1.
You're right.
And Brandon Aiyuk was a product of their own 1. But No, I do want to say it is a little bit, Mike, it is a little bit business, but it's also a little bit ego. And like Zach, when you put up the Ben Roethlisberger thing earlier, he said, yeah, man, I want to show people I can still play. Yeah. There's that little hint of ego. It's OBJ knowing that he's coming back off of 2 exploded knees at age 30, being like, yeah, I didn't say 20, but 4 ain't enough. There's that little bit of ego, right? Look, I was the 4th dude and I still got mine. So I'm good. That's a lot of what that is. It is confidence, and he's rightfully confident. So I just think that, and Mr. Lewis over here brought it up. Debo only got a 3-year extension, and Debo drastically underperformed last year. Yeah, just like I knew he would. Just like I said he would.
Something to keep an eye on.
Run the tapes. Run the tapes. I said it when Brandon Aiyuk goes to his agent, and you say these guys' agents talk. Look at the deal that Deebo Samuel got. Brandon Aiyuk and his agent are going to say, that's what you gave Deebo. What Brandon Aiyuk is doing is far more sustainable than what Deebo Samuel's doing, because Brandon's the better pure wide receiver. Yeah. That 1K, that can be consistent. He ain't out here pulling hamstrings every week. He ain't out here taking all these hits. He's not out there playing wide back and doing that stuff. If you want a guy that can get you 5, 6, 7 years of this production, this is your guy.
I agree 100%. And we've said this the past year and a half. Brandon Aiyuk is the best wide receiver on the team. I think he proved it last year. Going through 3 different quarterbacks, was still extremely consistent, regardless of who was chucking up the rock. And that's really, really hard to do. So I was extremely impressed by him, and I hope the 49ers find a way to keep him moving forward long term. I just want to address this comment from the Eagles fan in the chat saying 49ers are going to miss Garoppolo, not talking smack, just asking real football questions. Educate me then. What's the plans this offseason? The 49ers, even when they had Garoppolo, most of the time he wasn't playing anyway. So, I mean, yeah, there were a couple of solid seasons where he played a majority of the season, but the 49ers had him last year, and he still missed a handful of games, and they were able to still get to the NFC Championship. So I don't think they'll miss him as much as opposing fans think they will, or other fans think they will. They have plans already to move on.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Pretty much. They're going to reload. Listen, they got hemorrhaged far less than the Eagles did. The Eagles got gutted.
That's true. Yeah. They lost a lot. Both coordinators, a ton of starters. They're able to retain a couple. All right, guys, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that I didn't cover? If not, we're going to wrap things up.
I don't think I have anything now.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I think that the next step is going to be, you're going to get a trickle or two of these baby signings or anything else like that. I think the draft is going to be very interesting. I think there's going to be a run of quarterbacks, and I don't think the 49ers, if they were going to make a move, I don't think they make a move until draft day. I would just say don't expect anything to happen, but also don't just write it off and go to bed because the 49ers aren't picking in the first round. You never know. This regime has showed they'll trade up if they like something. So be ready for that. It's just going to be interesting to see which way they go. If they stay pat, day 2 and 3, that's going to be one of the best 49ers drafts we've watched in a while. At least one of the most active, because they're going to have a lot going on. 11 picks, day 2, day 3.
Insane stuff. And I know we'll be covering it all. Come join us. I know Mike got a plan over there. Nothing but Niners. Go join him as well. Hit like, hit subscribe wherever you're watching. We appreciate all you guys tuning in. It's going to be a crazy offseason. We're here to cover it all. Thank you, everybody, again, for spending your Sunday evening with us. Hit like, hit subscribe. All of our handles on Twitter are on the screen. Mike, I'm sure the folks are already subbed and following you, but let them know. Shout out your avenues.
Yeah, no, guys, just head on over to Nothing But Niners on YouTube and subscribe over there. You guys see my Twitter handle down there. When this show is over in about 10-15 minutes right after this one, we'll be right back on for our March Madness, the 15-minute question segment. You guys can ask anything, football related, personal lives, whatever it is that you want to ask. Tony will be joining me, so we'll be giving you guys raw, unfiltered, and uncensored answers to whatever questions you guys have.
All right. Yeah. Shout out their Patreon, also Nothing But Niners on Instagram. With that all said, thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. Matt, you want to carry us out?
Absolutely. Thank you guys as always for joining us. We love having you here. Mike, it's always a pleasure when you come rolling through. It's good 49ers talk. It's good 49ers vibe. Let's just keep it going throughout the offseason. It's only going to go up from here. So many questions, answers coming your way. So that being said, until next time, go Niners.